Okay, Marco, before we go,
Uh-huh.
I accept all responsibility for the outcome of this video.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to put
Thank you.
some in.
All right, all right.
This
So,
episode is going to be very fun as a result.
yeah, yeah.
Okay?
What is this? You tell me what this is.
It is going to be it's happy juice, Marco.
Okay.
Happy
Happy
juice.
juice. All right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So, welcome. This is Kingdom Cast, and I got the usual setup here. It's the same studio as we did last time. We were outside before, now we're inside. But yeah, it's just gonna be one of those filler episode because we kind of got not much to talk about. But one thing that we will talk about, segueing from that, is alcohol. So, right, here's the funny thing. Last time we did an episode together, we were talking about Pharisaism,
Mm.
right? Where we talk about churches or Christian groups having standards that's not aligned with God's word, right? They would say things like, well, you have to come to prayer meeting. Well, prayer meetings are good, but it's not mandatory, right? Those are, uh, kind of soft Pharisaism. I wouldn't say it's Pharisaism because prayer meetings are actually good. But the bad kinds are, for example, alcohol, right? Alcohols are generally looked down upon. Oh, you're a Christian. You shouldn't, don't even forget about being drunk. Just don't even touch alcohol in general.
Jesus turned water into wine, bro.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. So okay, so I'm just gonna ask, for example, for your case, what's the view of alcohols in your church, in your community, in general?
I come from a charismatic church background, bro.
Right, right. Which I'm assuming.
Oh yeah.
So here's the funny thing: charismaticism in America and in places like Asia is expressed quite differently.
Mm.
So I'm asking for you, what's the general view, let's say, in your church with things like alcohol consumption?
You know, in regards to sensitive topics like this, many times the approach is to just frown upon it and don't talk about it.
Right, right. So let's say you come up to your teacher or your mentor or whatever, and then you ask, actually, what did Jesus turn the water into during the wedding at Cana,
Mm.
right? And the answer, if they're not gonna lie about it, is, well, the people said it was a stronger wine than what they started out with, right? And so
This
even
is the one that's better
yeah, this is a
than
better.
all the ones that you serve
Yeah,
us.
and so the one who was already inebriated,
Yes,
even they could tell
yes.
it was stronger.
They got good taste.
They got good, yeah. And that also means Jesus had good taste. So, one of the funny thing, um, we had a episode of this, right? By episode I don't mean a podcast, but we ran into a situation. We were at a we had a Christian camp, and so a bunch of Christians from other Christian schools were there, and we brought alcoholic drinks, and then we kind of got the typical look, the near oh, he's a wine
The
bibber,
the
right? Which was very funny because ironically, on that very day, we had a Bible study in that camp, which was on Luke 7, which had the exact episode where the Pharisees accused Jesus of, it says wine bibbing in KJV.
Mm.
So what's funny, you have to consider, oh, they accused Jesus of wine bibbing. Well, here's a couple things we should know. Jesus never sinned.
Mm.
So we know he never got drunk.
Mm.
But we know then he drank enough to be accused of wine bibbing.
Mm.
So you can't, you can't sip grape juice and then be accused of wine bibbing because
Mm.
that's obviously non-alcoholic.
Mm. Alcohol
Yeah.
for Jesus.
Yeah, alcoholics. No, that's not a thing. But no, I thought that was just a funny thing that kind of happened.
That was cool because like some of them, right, those same people who when they were like, oh no, you are a spawn of the devil, and then behind closed doors they were like, can I try?
Yeah, right. They say, oh, are you gonna try? Are you gonna try? Well, if everyone tries, we'll drink. So
Even the ones who were in charge, they were like, Zach,
yeah.
you shouldn't bring alcoholic drinks to this camp. And then
I-
those same people be like, how did you do it?
Right. So they were kids. They're like, oh, that's so cool. How did you do it? And then the next morning, it's like,
in front of people, they're like, oh, bad. But
Yeah.
behind, they're like, that's so cool.
yeah. And then in the morning, they're like, you know what? We gotta confiscate this because
Oh, yeah.
apparently they said,
Because Marco danced so good.
nah, that's see, that was the slander. So funny story was in the camp. They forced the groups to do things. One of the group had to sing, one of the other group had to dance. My group had to dance,
Yeah.
and I basically was drinking the alcohol that we
I didn't
brought.
get any of that liquid courage, and you saw how down
Yeah,
I was.
yeah, yeah. Which
You saw.
yeah,
I was
and
like,
again, it was a bit of a joke thing because I wasn't actually drunk, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I was just drinking for quote unquote courage.
I'm pretty sure that you were red because you were shy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
dancing. No, I can't dance for the life of me. But anyway, that was just a funny episode
Oh yeah.
because again, you can tell socially
Mm.
drinking is almost unaccepted in a sense. But
It was fun. It was fun though, because the moment you went out, everybody was like,
Yeah.
drunk, drunk, drunk.
Yeah, that's no shock. I'm pretty sure I received a couple of
Yeah.
like drunk accusations,
Oh,
but
yeah.
it's fine, you
Oh
know.
yeah.
I clarified with them. I said no, that was not drunk. I was pulling a leg. I
Mm.
was pulling everyone's leg,
Mm.
but yeah, that's a funny thing. I just wanted to mention even a couple example in scripture where Ecclesiastes tells the essentially the wise man to enjoy his work, enjoy his wife, enjoy the drinks, enjoy the food, and we can assume those are alcoholic drinks. Uh,
It would be pretty much exactly the same as Muslims being not allowed to eat pork, right?
Mm-hmm. So, we acknowledge in the Old Testament there's
yeah.
certain dietary
Yeah.
prohibitions,
Yeah.
which even as someone who believes in God's laws, a binding principle,
Mm.
we acknowledge a lot of those laws are quote unquote transformed. They are resurrected and they take a different shape. So a lot of the laws regarding dietary are quote unquote abolished. They have been passed away. But guess what? Wine has never been one of them. In fact, in the Old Testament, consumption of wine is literally mandated. The festival tithe is something that you have to go to Jerusalem and then you have to sell a good chunk of your earning, 10% of it, or you sell it at 1.5,
Mm.
the profit, and then you're supposed to buy strong drink and good meat.
Mm.
So you are literally told, hey, you go Jerusalem, and how do you celebrate? You drink strong drinks,
Mm.
right? And that does include the whole family, and that does include kids.
Yeah.
So yeah, minimum age for drinking is a dumb rule. It should not exist. And I'll stand by that. So
You know what? I'm very curious. What about those who cite the sources that claim that kids who drink when they're very young, it's unhealthy. It's very damaging for their liver, for their kidneys.
yeah, which
Liver.
generally again is not true. We maybe had examples, but again, usually exceptions prove the rule. Whereby there are certainly people who could not withstand alcohol consumption. To those people, you should minimize consumption.
Mm.
But other than that, it's generally fine. And in fact, I know a lot of parents who do give their children wine, for example, at communion, and their children are fine because guess what? Drinking alcohol, consuming wine, those are things you can indeed train your children to enjoy, right? Just like any other thing, you can train your kids to enjoy.
I found that when I was young, right, I didn't like alcohol. I didn't like wine, specifically
Mhm.
grape wine. But I found that I didn't. I'm growing older and learning more about alcohol. I actually found out that I didn't actually dislike the alcohol. I actually disliked the taste of the fermented taste and the
Right.
sourness associated with it.
Right.
Because let's be real, a lot of the brewers are not that skilled, and no, and they dilute down their alcohol. They dilute down the wine.
Uh-huh.
So as a result, the original sweetness, the richness of grape wine,
Mhm.
it when you dilute it down, it becomes sour.
Right. Yeah. And so
That's actually also why I refuse to dilute down.
yeah,
It's the
and
good
you
stuff.
can always resort to just again higher quality wines
Oh yeah,
or
yeah.
just
So in the higher quality stuff, you usually don't get such strong sour notes,
Mhm.
and I didn't like that as a kid.
right.
I liked sweeter stuff.
Yeah. I also remember not liking beer
Oh yeah.
too much, mainly because of kind of the sting.
I refuse to
the
let this be the last time when we hang out like this. Can the next one be beer? Can
Be
the next
beer.
one be beer?
We can buy some good beers and then we
Oh,
bring it
yeah,
here.
yeah.
I was thinking initially of one of those Chinese sour plum wine.
yeah,
Yeah, because I was curious.
Can we just like
on-
experiment with like a lot of other drinks?
yeah, sure.
That'd be great. Yeah.
So we'll just keep, having podcasts where we drink. Because again, it's a good thing. It's Psalm says wine makes the hearts glad.
Oh yeah.
These are good things that we should enjoy.
Mm.
And I think we need to kind of set a culture for Christians, especially in Malaysia, to enjoy good things that God has given. Because the two errors that happens is well, one, you enjoy it too much, you get drunk,
Oh yeah.
and then you abuse the gift.
Mm.
Well, the other error is just straight up saying, well, this is not a gift from God, this is evil,
Mm.
and you should just not take it at all, which is also an error. That's also something you should not do, right? Similar things to that, you kind of have to find a balance. Yes, you don't want to abuse the gift, but at the same time, you have to call it a gift because
Mm.
God did say this is for man's enjoyment. This is for man's heart for him to be glad. So yeah, we can't ignore those things, and that's just a fun topic to kind of
Mm.
start the chill episode on. Another thing I wanted to talk about,
Mm.
and here's a pretty fun one. We'll
Mm.
keep this one short.
Mm.
Relationships. Okay, so so funny story. Our group, our quote unquote friend group, has had a couple of relationships.
Uh-huh.
And it's kind of been happening for a long time.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of relationships come
Oh,
in
yeah.
there. So the question usually a lot of people encounter is, well, how do you know when to start a relationship? Especially for us, right? We're college students who are about to finish or we just started. We kind of don't know, right? We just enter relationships just for the fun of it, and so on and so forth. So maybe I'll ask you because you're the one who has a relationship.
I'm your oppa.
Yeah.
No, I'm your shifu.
Yeah. So you tell me what were some of your considerations when you enter into one, and then who did you consult, who did you go to, and all those things.
Who did I consult? Oh my goodness. Okay, where would you like me to start?
Hmm. Let's see. Whatever hedge you kind of place on yourself. So it could be, you consult your parents, you consult your mentor,
Mm.
whoever it is, or maybe you even ask your friends, right? Hey, I'm into this person. Do you think it would be a good match? Do you think it would benefit people? Do you think, what do you think? So,
When it
Yeah.
came, okay, I don't know if you believe this or not about me, but Grace is very much my first girlfriend actually.
yeah. So, okay. So Grace is sorry, Grace, you kind of got name dropped there.
Oh, right,
But it's
right,
fine.
right,
Don't
right,
worry about
right.
it. Yeah. Just go on. It's not
Okay.
like most.
It's not like she watches this.
Yeah. But yeah, anyway.
But
The
yeah,
first one,
she is actually the first one, and we are currently going strong for about 2 years now.
2 years, huh? Okay.
2 years and counting.
Right.
So that's nice.
Mhm.
I still consider my story a success. Although we're not married yet, so we haven't driven off happily into the sunset. Okay,
Right,
take
right,
note.
Yeah, which
Yeah. Personally, I actually always knew. I don't know why. Okay. I honestly struggle with the thought of why, of all people, am I learning the lessons that so many others are not?
right.
Because actually, all these restraints that I placed on myself, which I'm gonna say, I actually only learned from seeing others in
Right.
high school. Like you yourself know, so many of your friends, of your peers,
Right.
hop into relationships thinking that that's like the sole purpose for life.
Right. Fair.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
And then they break up, and then it's like
yeah,
their life
like the
just-
next day, right? And then I'm like, okay, that's not a relationship,
Yeah, that's not.
and
no.
I don't want that.
Okay,
So
yeah.
seeing all these failed examples before me, I actually started to put restraints on myself.
Okay.
One of it being well, I understood why some of them broke up. Like her problems became his problems became her problems.
Right. Okay. Mm-hmm.
And then seeing the wreckage that it became, the broken friendships and all of that,
Right.
I actually didn't want that to happen, and as a
Yeah.
result, I decided for myself to clean up as much mess as I can on myself before getting started, because I knew that her mess will become mine and mine will
Sure.
become hers.
Right.
That's a big fail. In
Yeah.
fact, this was a big L that I had to take actually. In fact, this actually propelled me into the self-help culture.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another one that my mother actually very wisely taught me was how to pray actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how did she tell you how to pray for
Yeah, so it's
your
like,
relationship?
boy, do you want to get married? Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Do you want a family? Yeah. Okay, pray after me. Okay, Lord, to the one who how to say, to a future spouse, future wife, just want to pray that you keep her for me and me for her. That we'll be stronger together than we would be apart.
Right.
That both of us will serve the Lord together with our house. Something like that. I'm just paraphrasing,
Yeah.
something along those lines. So it's
That's
it's
a good
about
prayer.
it's about serving God together, always being found in God's house together, and being kept for one another,
Right.
specifically being kept for one another.
Mm-hmm.
So that was cool, and
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I didn't expect the prayer to pay off so quickly. But
Yeah.
yeah, anyways, actually, I would like to go to the big L that I had to take.
Okay.
You
Okay.
know, because I actually wanted to change the outcome of a bad relationship on my own.
Right.
But one thing that I failed to realize is that, yeah, sure, I can control some things. Like, okay, I can control how my spending habits. Okay, I discipline my spending habits. Okay, believe it or not. Believe it or not. Okay. Um, I got into shape. You know, I
Right. Right.
sorted out my priorities. But honestly, the funny thing is, the girlfriend was actually what showed me my problems.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I never even knew half of my problems until uh until she showed me
Yeah.
that I still have issues,
Yeah.
you know? Because that's when I'm finally being compared to being reflected, you know?
Yeah.
My girlfriend became girlfriends or relationship partners are actually a reflection of what you value,
Right. Right. Okay. Mm-hmm.
believe it or not. So if you value beauty over intelligence, guess what? You're gonna get a bimbo.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah. That's.
If you value um if you value a very kind girlfriend, you're gonna be interested in a very kind girlfriend. You're gonna
Yeah.
be attracted by that value.
Hopefully. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So opposites don't really attract
Maybe
in that
not
way.
not in the most.
Yeah.
Well, at least if you acknowledge that you lack something.
Yeah, if I love
And then.
badminton, all the memes about badminton,
Uh-huh.
guess what?
Oh yeah.
All
Yeah.
my friends are gonna love badminton. Okay, my friend groups are gonna come from
Right. Yeah,
badminton.
obviously.
Okay, if I love God, guess what? My friends are gonna love God
Yeah.
too.
So as
Alright.
it should be. But
So you
then
want a
again,
godly girlfriend? You want a godly boyfriend?
well, that just kind of the problem is with all the messed up relationship we do run into.
Yeah.
That kind of exposes what people really want.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
they don't actually want a godly, a helper that will eventually help them
And
in
exactly.
serving God. Yeah.
So my determination to sort out my mess actually blew up in my face because I didn't even know what mess I had.
Yeah. So that's a blessing.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. And okay, for example, okay, one thing, like I also realized how arrogant I can be. Yeah, and like how stubborn as well.
Uh huh.
So even that, even the art of negotiating,
Right.
I had to kind of learn on the job.
Yeah.
So if you ask me when do you know if you're ready, I would actually say that is the element of faith.
Brother, sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time, not many are willing to take a cold hard look at themselves.
Yeah.
Not many are even willing to analyze the situation that they're in. So I did get blessed lah, you know,
Right.
where I had this burning desire to be right with God. Also because, well, not much was going for me at the time. I wasn't exactly winning in life. So
Right,
that's
right.
why
Nobody
a lot
was.
of my prayer was, Lord, let your will be done in me. Why? Because I didn't have anything going on.
Yeah, that's fair.
I was like mega depressed, bro. Like like COVID, I was lonely.
Oh, yeah.
A lot of my subjects weren't the best.
Uh-huh.
Foundation wasn't working out for me.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Interesting.
I had like no friends. Most of my friends that I called brothers, well, they were kind of caught up in their own life as well.
Right. No, pandemic. You
Yeah,
just
so
kinda get
nothing
locked
was
up.
working out for me anyways.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was easy. It was easy.
Fair.
When you got nothing, it's kind of easy to ask for God's will to
You
be
just
done.
Kinda, yeah. So
Yeah.
so and
It's cool. It's good to pray. No, your prayers become very powerful when you realize how cooked you are.
yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes yeah. But I am I see. I am hoping kind of hedge before that because what I do see is a lot of people going through similar things with you. Right. It could be pandemic, it could be a previous breakup, whatever
Exactly.
it is.
Why did I learn the lessons and not them? We all went through the exact same thing.
Yeah. So quick quick mention though. I think we have to pause it real quick. 3. Okay, sorry for about that technical difficulty, but yeah, back to my point.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping. Well, a lot of people go through the downward spiral in life. We understand.
Yeah.
And for you, you learn a bunch of stuff, and even when you did learn, when you enter into a relationship, there's a bunch of other things You had to learn.
Would you
Well-
like to know some of it actually?
Well, you can say some different ones than the ones you already told.
Like I okay.
So
Hey, do you actually you bore witness to this actually? Do
Okay.
you remember the part? Well, okay, one of the very first lessons that God taught me was actually gratitude.
Okay. Because-
Amidst nothing working out,
Right.
to still smile, to still be grateful
Uh-huh.
because I'm better than a lot of other people. Yeah,
Better off. At
better
least.
off. Yeah, yeah. So one of the very first lessons that God taught me was actually just that gratitude, and from there, uh, what else? Yeah, actually from that gratitude actually came passion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, God, you're still so good to me. Thank
Mhm.
you. I want to serve you.
Right,
I want this. I want to draw near. I want to draw closer to you.
Mhm.
And then you bore witness to this. Do you remember like one of the very first instructions that I actually didn't know if it was a word from God at the time.
Okay.
But that's why I actually sought your counsel.
Mhm.
And then it was a bit too personal, but I recall that the direct instruction was eyes on me. Do you remember? Like, yeah.
Okay, I
Do you remember that one?
Yeah,
Yeah. And then you're like, I remember your advice was, so what if it isn't? Like,
Right,
it's still good. Let's do
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Sometimes you run into the doubts,
Yeah.
but
Because I'm like, whoa,
okay.
reading Bible, and suddenly you get a vision of what like what you need to do, and then you're like, okay, what? And so I just decided, okay, whatever, let's just seek counsel about it.
Alright.
And then you're like, what's the harm?
yeah,
so,
that's
so I was like,
that's
okay,
true.
yeah, that's true. So okay, just do it. And then from all that, and then actually one of the biggest okay, eyes on God, seek first the kingdom, and then all these things shall be added on to you. But then as you know, we run into a lot of roadblocks.
Mhm.
It's like a monotonous kind of phase.
Right.
And then, well, one of the funniest things is the breakthrough actually happened through my family. Actually,
Okay.
like turns out, God in all His infinite wisdom actually solved that obstacle that was standing in my way. That was my household situation.
Right.
I wasn't on good terms with my parents, and especially my sister.
Right.
Every time I go home, I would have lots of disagreements, lots of arguments.
Okay.
Not even disagreements, just like outright didn't like them.
Uh-huh.
So through a period of time, and through that through that monotonous time, there came healing actually in that
Mhm.
place when I was like grumbling, God, it's getting boring. This I'm not going anywhere. I'm not doing anything. I'm not making progress. But little did I know that there was actually healing going on in the background. And once I actually, yeah, sure, I got to a great. I'm in a great place with my parents right now. And then actually, but I still hated my sister. So yeah. And then
yeah. Hopefully that gets.
yeah.
that fixes
So
itself,
no,
yeah?
and that's the thing. And then after I got into a good place with my sister, once I actually resolved the conflict with my sister
Mhm.
through with great effort,
Yeah.
not just my effort. Actually, I was forced to resolve it through the pastor
As you should. Yeah.
who got a word from God. Nah, okay.
Yeah,
I call
know. That's
I call
fine.
bullshit on that. Okay,
That's
why?
fine.
Because she just wasn't turning up in church. Okay, that's
Right,
why the
that's-
pastor took notice.
That's interesting.
It's not a word from God. It's
Okay.
like reality. Okay.
Yeah.
But like but yeah, so I was kind of forced to resolve the conflict with her, and you know what? I'm actually in a great place with my sis. My sis is not in a great place with my parents, but for some reason I'm in a great place with all of them.
Yeah. And
So-
hopefully.
And you know what? That's actually when real breakthrough took place. And then and for the first time in a while, I actually had genuine peace. I realized that my worship actually became more personal.
Mhm.
Quiet time became way more amazing.
Right. Mhm.
Oh yeah, and you know what? Communicating with Grace, being with a girlfriend, I would say that's about 1 year in. Yeah, it became new. You know,
No,
it just became deeper.
yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and it turns out one of the obstacles was in fact my family relations, not being in a great place with my parents and my sis.
Hmm.
That was weird, yeah.
Yeah.
But wise, actually.
Now, gotta take another quick break, so I'm gonna
Ha,
indicate
ha.
myself to pause. Right, funny. Sorry, two technical difficulties in a row. But again, thanks for basically sharing a lot.
Oh
of
yeah,
that. Yeah.
That is basically my origin story,
Yeah.
Dude, I've actually really never heard yours before. I only know the part when you're depressed.
Nah, yeah.
And I've seen the pictures where skinny Marco and then post pandemic Marco,
Yeah. So
the bulk.
the
The
the balking happened in the middle. But yeah, I'll probably share it another time. I don't know about this episode, but thanks for that. And again, I'm kind of hoping for, you know, because people enter into a relationship usually when they are in a mess.
Yeah.
Because they thought, oh, the relationship would be their savior.
She can fix me. She can fix me.
No, you can't. No,
Yeah.
you will not fix her.
I can
and,
fix her.
and you will not fix him. Right? That just never happens. So you do need to at least sell some of your own problems. Now, that is not to say,
Ooh, the self-help spiral was crazy.
right? And what's
Yeah,
sad is usually
and it's because of the self-help spiral that when I suddenly got the instruction, whoa, calm down.
right. Yeah. So
Eyes
a lot
on,
of those
focus,
yeah,
you know.
a lot of the self-help kind of culture nowadays, it's a very a lot of them use Jesus as
Yes.
a kind of motivation. A good chunk of them are Christian, which I think is good,
Yeah.
but a good chunk of them are quite vain in that they
Yeah.
are self-feeding. Well, if you're improving yourself, it kind of has to be for someone else.
The slight wake-up call happened when I started to see all the self-help gurus be all angry.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, wait a minute, why are you angry?
Right.
I thought you were in a better place than me.
Right. So it's a lot of pent up energy, a lot of pent up rage.
Yeah.
But it's not directed properly.
Yeah.
So with something like a relationship, for example, you want a direction
Yeah.
for a lot of those desires. Well, I want a companionship. Companionship for what? If you
Mhm.
don't have a boat and then you don't sail a particular direction, you don't need a sail.
Yeah.
That thing comes with finding direction, with finding the goal,
Yeah.
and all those things. So with those things, I was just also considering things like, well, people enter into relationship also because sometimes they think, oh, there's no harm in it. Right? Oh, this is a harmful thing that I'm going to enter into. I'm just going to have fun.
Yeah, I just
but-
get to rent the car,
But,
drive it around.
but it's a problem. Right? You can't treat your partner like a used car. So,
I mean, it's perfectly fine in the self-help world,
yeah, which is a problem.
which
again.
which I did notice was a discrepancy actually.
Yeah, that's the problem with a lot
Yeah.
of the self-help culture.
Oh yeah.
They definitely objectify, especially for the guy side, the red pill kind of movement. They objectify women quite a lot. So, and that's the part that I think is the kind of Christless, self-help, the kind of godless,
Yeah.
the self-help that is not governed by God's law,
Yeah.
any of that. But I was also, we're talking about this. We had a couple of relationships, and although as much as we try to keep it private, right, a lot of the affairs, like it or not, it kind of bleeds out.
Yeah.
And it's not even because of gossip. It's not even because of
Dude, even when we wanted to rebuke,
and
helpfully, brotherly, lovingly,
And-
rebuke,
Yeah.
like his face was like,
well, yeah. So demeanor changes. We notice that we notice when they don't sit together anymore. We can't even talk without some tension anymore. But that's not even the problem. I think the problem is in assuming that the relationship period are private matters, which you have to understand they are not.
yeah,
Right? What I was talking about this with one of our friends.
Hmm?
We were having a Bible study about the same thing, the wedding in Cana.
Yeah.
And it was about I was mainly not talking about the text. I was talking about Jewish marriages in general, where in Jewish marriage they would get married, and what would happen is after they get married, the first consideration would not be honeymoon or anything along that line. It would be, well, we're gonna have an open house.
When did honeymoon come to be?
Yeah,
like,
we don't-
I
right.
don't understand the
And-
origins.
yeah.
But it's like an obligation.
It's kind of like socially obligated.
I've been to like 10 of my youth's weddings,
Uh-huh.
and then 10 of them said that they have a honeymoon after, even when I wanted to hang, because they're my
Right.
friends. That's why I was invited.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, we gotta celebrate. No. I'm on my
Nah,
honeymoon. I'm like, huh?
right. Yeah, and the honeymoon's like how long? Like 3
Yeah,
months.
and why is it so expensive?
Yeah,
Okay,
So-
but yeah, but it's like an obligation to go on a holiday and call it a honeymoon.
Right. Which again, it's very counterintuitive. It's just very counterculturally
Oh yeah.
to how the Jews kind of had their marriage, because when they had their marriage, they would have an open house
Yeah.
for a whole week. And the point is, you can come to their house and receive full hospitality by the couple. It's a kind of giving back to the community,
Yeah.
right? Because hey, we're together, we're as a person, and we're actually helping each other. We're actually better now as a couple.
It would be the new couple's house.
Yeah, it
Oh,
would be their
yeah.
new
Oh,
house,
yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
And then they would welcome people into their door.
Could it be, Marco? why this new thing came to be, because the new couples don't have houses
Don't
yet.
have houses. Yeah, could be. But that's a completely separate problem. I just want to tackle the fact that the relationships are not private, and that's the fact that one of the first things a Jewish married couple would consider is giving back to the community,
Oh yeah.
welcoming them, doing hospitality. In other words, people around them actually see, hey, these new couple, they're actually wonderful. I'm actually enjoying my time. They didn't become less of a friend for me.
You're not a
They-
menace to society.
Yeah, they become a better friend
Oh yeah.
as a couple, right? How many cases do you hear? Oh, this person got married or this person enters a relationship and you just cannot get in contact with them anymore.
Oh yeah.
They just straight up are not even friends with you anymore
Yeah.
because they just got swallowed up by their relationship,
Yeah.
which is hilarious. So, and that's not in light. That is not what Scripture has in view of marriage. Marriage has to be that thing that actually makes you a better unit together. Right?
Mhm.
It's a unity that's greater than your person because, well, Adam was definitely one with his own rib.
You know, I'm realizing now more and more how wise my mother was.
Yeah,
I was like 8 years old and she was.
yeah.
guiding me already. Oh,
we
yeah.
should definitely learn from our parents.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, as I was saying, Adam definitely had unity with his ribs, but his ribs was not more useful than Eve was.
Yeah.
Right? And that's the kind of unity we're looking for.
Oh,
We're
yeah.
looking for two persons who are actually more united, more functional together
Mm.
when they come together. So
yeah, that's actually quite a wholesome. Oh,
yeah, and
yeah.
that is the picture. And
Yeah.
we also have a typological picture in Scripture
Right.
with Revelation
Yes.
where we see the bride, the
Yes.
New Jerusalem descending.
Being presented.
Yeah,
Yes.
we get a banquet, and
Oh,
what's the
yeah.
first thing that happens? The gates are never shut.
Yes.
We're told the gates are never shut. The kings enter into, and the rivers flow out. They heal the
Yeah.
nation.
Oh yeah.
And so, the most typologically glorious marriage is one where it literally heals entire nations. It heals people, and kings want to come into it. So the good question does become, right? We're talking more conceptually here. Is your marriage like that? Does your marriage, quote unquote, heals nation? Is it something that kings want to enter into and give their glory? Because that's the image that we're given. So I want to end the note on that. Do you have anything else? If not, we can.
Nah.
Nah,
I
yeah.
have nothing.
All right. Then moving on. So we talked about alcohol. We talked about relationship.
Oh,
Here's
yeah.
the last funny one. I'll make this like the final topic
yeah.
for this episode,
Uh-huh.
which is homosexuality or LGBTQ and transgenderism
Yeah.
in Malaysia.
Oh yeah.
So recently I went through a bunch of conference happening around. A bunch of them are talking about homosexuality. So now the question becomes, I'm going to throw it back to you.
Oh yeah.
How does your church usually tackle cases of homosexuality or LGBTQ, transgenderism, and all?
You know, I'm actually very proud to say, in regards to global problems
Mhm.
and commonly talked about problems, like homosexuality, what else? Pornography. Pornography
right.
is a big one. Like FGT does actually have a pretty strong stance against it.
Yeah.
So it outright says, look, this is sin. No.
Right.
Am I going to oppress you? No. That's a separate conversation.
Okay. Right.
But yeah.
So that's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Because one of the things that I was.
It blew my mind actually when I found out how few churches actually do this. So I was
Oh,
like,
right. Yeah.
my lineage has spine.
Right. Yeah.
Wow.
And I sadly it is the case that a lot of churches are very
Ambiguous.
they're ambiguous. They
Oh,
don't want
yeah.
to do the well. If you have a gay friend, tell them you can talk to your pastor. So they don't want to make the blatant statement that, hey, the Bible literally calls it
yeah.
ars nakoites. It's
Yeah.
abomination.
Oh yeah.
So okay, now I grant they want to care for people. It's like okay, sure,
Yeah.
but caring for people also includes the shepherds being firm
Oh yeah.
in biblical doctrines.
Oh yeah.
Which yeah, if the Bible says this is a perversion, this is against God's law.
I recall many years ago when this was still a fresh thing,
Mm-hmm.
and the pastor was like, oh, and there was asked a question. Oh, my gay friend's gonna get married, and I was invited.
Right.
What should I do? So the pastor actually gave lovingly gave an
Uh-huh.
answer saying, well, you know that this is a very very big sin,
Right.
okay,
Mm-hmm.
and you should not support it. You
Right.
should not publicly support
You
this.
should not even go.
You should, yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So it's like, for the sake of your friendship, you may give a gift, but you may not
right.
attend.
Right. That's good because there's a funny thing that happened.
So that was actually quite a beautiful response in my opinion, because the love is there.
Right.
You're like,
Uh-huh.
look, I love you. Here's the gift. I don't support your marriage.
Yeah. Uh-huh. And that's good, because I think there's a funny case where recently a pastor in America, he was quite famous.
Yeah.
His name is Alistair Begg. He was asked this question on a panel. Oh, my transgender son or grandson or something along that line is getting married.
Mm.
Should I go? And then he kind of gave the answer of, well, you shouldn't support the marriage, but I would still go. And that's kind of the problem. You kind of can't go to these kind of events and then not, quote unquote, celebrate it,
Oh yeah.
right? Because what are you sitting there for? What are you raising your glass and cheering for?
Yeah.
When you witness the oath, you're sitting there and you're not objecting.
This
You're not-
would be equal to like holding joysticks
yeah.
for prayer, or bowing, or partaking in, I don't know,
Other principles
other religious
basically
practices. Yes.
you're not allowed to partake. There are circumstances where in the Bible
Yeah.
Paul tells you don't even sit at the same table.
Correct me from this though, but I recall that in Ephesians,
Uh-huh.
the reason was it Ephesians? The
I think it's
reason
Corinth.
Corinth
Yeah.
maybe. Yeah. Do not partake in it. Why? For, I mean, it may not be sin to me, but
Oh,
if it stumbles you, it is
right,
sin.
right. So there is a couple of in 1 Corinthians 5 all the way to like 10 and 11.
Yeah.
Paul gives multiple different arguments,
Yeah.
which I believe are for multiple different cases.
Yeah.
There are cases where, well, people buy meat consecrated to idols
Mm-hmm.
from the flea market,
Oh, yeah.
which Paul says that's completely fine.
Yeah.
There's, the meat doesn't have
Yeah.
demonic goodies.
Yeah, because
right?
they're not even real.
That's not real, yeah.
Yeah.
But then he quotes a passage in Deuteronomy about worshiping the devil. If you sit down at a table and eat with
Mm.
fellow, let's say worshipper of Zeus, and they consecrate the meat
Oh yeah.
to Zeus. So okay, so I don't want to conflate the arguments. I would encourage people to kind of read them. But yeah,
Yeah.
there is one case where, well, if it does stumble, you shouldn't partake. But I think mostly for that argument,
For the
Paul,
severity in this case.
yeah, Paul is saying, well, there are people who sees you partaking the meat,
Yeah.
and then you say, well, that's not real. And
Oh,
what
yeah.
do? They keep joining the pagan festivals
Yeah.
again and again.
Yeah.
Which Paul says, well, the joining is not good.
Yeah.
Right? Them joining the festival, which includes not just meat eating, but also straight up orgies. Right? That's literally something you can't even attend.
Yeah.
And we're talking about something similar when it comes to marriage.
Oh yeah.
Right? This is a marriage that is basically a lie, because it's not a marriage. Right? It's a mirage,
Yeah.
shall I say.
Yeah.
A man can't shag with another man, can't shack up with another dude, and then call that
Yes.
marriage. God has said marriage is one man,
Between
one,
one
woman.
Yep.
So guess what? 2 women, 1 man, also no go. Where we also can't attend those things.
Mm.
And again, the argument goes on. So a lot of the problem I think nowadays is we think, well, we want to love the people, but we want to do it in a way that literally breaks God's law.
Yeah.
And I think the problem is you can't love people by breaking God's law,
Mm.
because God's law is the epitome of loving God and loving
people,
neighbor.
yeah. Mhm.
So you literally can't straight up disobey God and then say, but I'm doing so for the love of my neighbor.
Yeah.
That's not real.
What would you say to those who would say, but marriage existed even before God defined it between one man and one woman?
Right, which is not true, because
Yeah.
the text that Jesus quotes
Oh yeah.
whenever he defends marriage is,
Yes.
did you not read as it was written,
Yeah.
God made them male female. So
Yeah.
even the very act
Yeah.
that God did not make man and man or woman and woman,
Oh yeah.
the very act that God made man and woman sets up the limitation already according
Yeah.
to Jesus. And then he used that to argue against even divorce.
Yeah.
So much is divorce. So it's like, okay, so even that institution in itself is already prohibited by God when he makes them, when he made Adam and Eve.
Mm.
So yeah, those are the things we have to consider, which again I still think is sinful. Cases of divorce that does happen, again, happen because we're sinful men. We run into situations that are basically debilitating for the woman or even sometimes for the man, and God gives provision for those things in His law, but we're not supposed to abuse that. We're not supposed to find any reason we can find to get divorced, to end our marriage, to find other partners and whatnot. So yeah, that's kind of all I want to talk about. So I guess that kind of ends the topic there.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you want to give any final statement. If not, we can end that video here.
I encountered a very funny situation.
Okay. We can end it with a story.
Okay, you know what? There will be no naming here.
All right. Okay.
All right. But this girlfriend reported to me that this certain someone whom I firmly think has no brain. And I quote, marriage is the compromise for a sinful man.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
you know about
this
this.
is
You know about this.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
So encounter. So this is more of a fringe topic, but I guess I'll tackle it. So
how did
right. So let's
how would they take that
let's draw
from their
back.
pastor and not get offended at the fact that
they're married.
Literally
They're
saying-
literally married.
and not get offended at the fact that you're essentially trying to say that women exist because of sinful men.
Yeah. So
Therefore, woman is sin.
yeah. So
Is sin.
so that's a clearly ignorant statement. But to recap, kind of for the audience that's unaware,
Oh yeah. Sure.
we sometimes have a couple of ignorant people. They kind of come to our fellowship. They make statements that are generally theologically ignorant,
From this church.
right? Which we don't need to name. But
Yeah.
the person said, yeah, marriage is basically an institution that's born out of sinful things, right? It never had the good bent. It never had a good doxology. It never had a good ontology, which again, straight up just ignorant.
Yeah.
Because God literally describes salvation of His people as a marriage, as literally a banquet. That is the epitome of salvific history.
I remember that they cited the reason of divorce, where Jesus himself said divorce was put in place because of your hardened hearts.
Yeah, which is divorce, not the marriage.
Yeah. So for some
divorce
reason
is-
that tied into the marriage part.
Yeah. So the divorce is the bad thing. The divorce is the sinful desire
Yeah.
manifesting in a marriage. But for some reason they said, oh, marriage is
Yeah.
one of those things that
Yeah.
we can't have it because we're sinful. Well, problem.
No, like
And-
no, not we can't have it. It's just it. You're only having it because
Oh,
you're
you're
sinful.
only having So the optimal Christian should just not partake
And I
in
remember
marriage.
that they said also in heaven, oh, whose wife? Oh, this brother married her, then he died, and the
Oh,
younger
yeah,
brother
yeah.
married her,
Uh-huh.
and Jesus said, in heaven, y'all are not.
Right, you're not
married.
given in
Yeah,
marriage.
Yeah.
Okay, well that does
And-
not
yeah.
that does not mean marriage is a bad institution.
So yeah, and then he was like, see, in a perfect society, you're not married.
Yeah. So that's obviously ignorant. Again, ridiculous. Guess what other things go away in heaven?
Yeah.
We're told night goes away.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Would you rather never sleep?
Yeah.
Sorry, we need sleep. in this time and period, we need sleep.
Yeah, so that's why
Well,
they'll say, because you are a wretched sinner,
Yeah, but no,
and
but-
you are fallen, therefore you need sleep.
Yeah, but that's not the case. God made the moon. God also made marriage, right?
Yeah.
That's an institution He made. That's a celestial body that He made. So those things are good. And those things have proper uses. Just because certain things, certain institutions pass away
Yeah.
when we enter a new heaven, new
Yeah.
creation, that does not make it inherently evil or bad or sinful.
Yeah.
Right? That's not a good hermeneutic. That's not a good Bible interpretation at all.
Nor is it healthy.
Right. It's not. Yeah. It's not. It's clearly not healthy. I don't know what the people who go to that church are being taught.
Imagine in the bedroom, honey, because we are wretched sinners,
Yeah. No. You gotta not.
and we must be constantly delivered from the darkness.
No.
We
that-
shall now procreate.
Yeah. No, that wouldn't make sense. But anyway, that's just a ridiculous thing that happens within our fellowship. But yeah, I think we can end it on a anecdotal note there.
Yeah.
And yeah, this has been Kingdom Cast. Thank you for joining us. See you in
Special
the next-
thanks
Uh-huh.
to Real Peak Music
Oh, yeah.
Studios.
This is our friend's studio. So
Oh,
again,
yeah.
thanks so much for letting us use all these setup.
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, hopefully we see you guys in the next episode.
Cheers, man.
and